problems we face are not due to the lack of good ideas. The reason that we're not getting things done is not because we don't have good plans and good policy prescriptions. The reason is because it's not our agenda that's being moved forward in Washington. It's the agenda of the oil companies, the insurance companies, and the drug companies, the special interests who dominate on a day-to-day basis in terms of legislative activity. And so what I want to do is just talk a little bit about how we might change that culture. Because if we can't change that, we're not going to change anything. And the topic is fitting because we're at Roosevelt Middle School, and I want to talk to you about the life work of the man who this school is named after. You know, when Theodore Roosevelt took office over 100 years ago, he looked out at a country where wealth was becoming more concentrated in the hands of a few robber barons, railroad tycoons, and oil magnates. And it was an era known as the Gilded Age. It was made possible by a government that played along. From the politicians in Washington to the big city machines, it was a system that kept power and money and influence in the hands of a few, while working people found it harder and harder to earn a decent wage or work in a safe environment or get a day off once in a while. Teddy Roosevelt decided not to play along. He devoted his presidency to busting trusts, breaking up monopolies, and doing his best to give the American people a shot at the American dream once more. Over a century later, America needs this kind of leadership more than ever. We need a president who sees the government not as a tool to enrich well-connected friends and high-priced lobbyists, but as the defender of fairness and opportunity for every single American. That's what this country's been about. That's the kind of president I intend to be. We can do these things, but if we're serious about having real change in this country, then we have to start putting America's interests ahead of the special interests. And that's the reason that I've offered the most far-reaching ethics and lobbying reform plan of any candidate in this race right now. It's a set of proposals I'll begin enacting on my very first day as President of the United States. A plan to make the White House the people's house and send the Washington lobbyists back to K Street. Early in his presidency, Teddy Roosevelt gave a famous speech before farmers and factory workers that laid out his vision of what government at its best should be. I want to read this quote. "The welfare of each of us is dependent fundamentally on the welfare of all of us. And therefore, in public life, that man is the best representative, whose endeavor it is not to represent any special class or interest, but to represent all by working for our common country." It's time to get to work once more for our common country and for our common interests. It's time we had a politics that reflected that commitment. And it's time we had a president who can get it done. I look forward to being that president and working with all of you to make that the kind of America that we're leaving for our children and our grandchildren. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.